Time froze at exactly 2:17 a.m., though I didn't realize it immediately at first. I thought it was just another sleepless night, the kind where the silence hums louder than sound itself. But when I reached for my phone and saw the screen glowing with the same unmoving time, when the fan above my head stopped mid-spin like a suspended guillotine blade, when the dog outside my apartment window was caught mid-bark with its mouth stretched into an eternal scream, I understood something was terribly wrong. And what frightened me most wasn't the stillness itself, but the fact that I could move freely through it, my breath fogging the air while the world around me stood embalmed in a single second. And as I stepped outside my room, the hallway lights flickered without changing, frozen sparks trapped like insects in amber. My neighbors locked in unnatural poses, one man halfway through scratching his neck, another with tears suspended on his cheek. A woman collapsed near the stairs with her eyes wide open, staring at something she never got to finish seeing, and when I tried to touch them, their skin felt cold but not dead, like mannequins that were still dreaming, and I laughed nervously at first, convincing myself this was a dream or a stress-induced hallucination, but the laugh echoed endlessly, bouncing off unmoving walls, coming back to me warped and distorted, as if the frozen world was mocking me. And that was when I noticed the shadows were wrong, though the sun was frozen behind clouds outside. Shadows shifted slowly along the walls, bending in directions light shouldn't allow, crawling like living things, watching me, following me, and when I ran outside, the street was a graveyard of motionless life, cars locked in collisions that never finished, birds hanging in the sky like torn paper, rain droplets hovering inches above the pavement, each one reflecting my terrified face 1,000 times over, and I screamed for help. But the sound didn't travel, it just stretched, dragged behind me like a dying thing. And that was when I saw it, the first thing that moved besides me, a man standing at the end of the road. Tall, impossibly thin, his limbs bending at angles that made my stomach twist, his face blurred like a corrupted photograph, and when he tilted his head, I heard his voice directly inside my skull saying, "You're not supposed to be awake," and I ran my footsteps, the only sound in a dead universe, darting through frozen shops past people locked in moments of joy and violence, until I reached the hospital where my mother worked, dread coiling tighter with every step, and there she was, frozen mid-surgery, her hands inside. A patient whose chest was open, blood suspended in mid-air like red glass, and I shook her, screamed her name, begged her to move, but she remained trapped in time while tears streamed down my face freely and behind me. I felt it again, that presence closer, now its shadow, stretching across the walls despite there being no moving light source, whispering that time wasn't frozen, not really, that it had simply abandoned everyone else, that I had been chosen because I noticed the cracks, because I questioned reality, because I stayed awake at 2:17 a.m. thinking about death. And when I demanded to know what it was, it laughed, a sound like bones snapping in slow motion, and said it was what remained when time moved on without us. A scavenger of forgotten seconds, feeding on people who never noticed they were being erased. And then it showed me the truth. Memories, not mine, flooded my mind. Visions of previous survivors who wandered this frozen world for years, decades, slowly losing their sanity as their bodies aged while everything else remained perfectly still, until they begged for time to return, and time answered by taking them too, leaving only shadows behind. And I realized with horror that my reflection in a shop window already looked older, darker under the eyes, hair slightly grayer than it should have been, and I begged the thing to let me go back to restart time, promising anything, everything, but it leaned close. Its face finally snapping into focus, a mirror image of my own twisted and decayed end, said the cruelest truth of all. Time hadn't frozen for everyone except me. It froze because of me, because in one brief selfish moment I wished the world would stop, and it listened. And now the only way to restart it was to take my place, to become the still point around which time flowed again. And before I could scream, before I could decide, my body grew heavier, my movements slowing, my breath thickening like syrup, as the world around me began to twitch back into motion, rain crashing down, birds falling from the sky, screams resuming mid, and the last thing I saw was myself reflected in a car window, eyes wide, mouth open, frozen forever at 2:17 a.m. While somewhere far away, someone else lay awake staring at a clock that refused to move, unaware that time was about to choose them next.